3 days ago, I received an unmarked VHS tape in the mail. No note, no return address, no explanation, just the word Rake scribbled in what looked like dried blood or rust across the label. I made the mistake of watching it, and now I can't sleep because every night since I've seen it in the corner of my room, beneath my bed, crawling toward me. The tape itself was grainy, distorted. It looked like security footage from some backwoods motel. Long hallways, flickering lights, no sound except for the mechanical hum of a dying CRT. For 2 minutes, nothing happened. Then something moved at the edge of the screen. It was fast, blurred, a pale, emaciated figure that scuttled across the floor on all fours like it didn't have joints. It never came fully into frame, just flickers, a glimpse of its mouth, something with too many teeth. At first, I thought it was a joke. Found footage horror. I stopped the tape, laughed it off, tossed it aside. But that night, I heard breathing under my bed, heavy, wet, intentional. I turned on the lights, grabbed a bat, searched the whole apartment. Nothing was there, nothing I could see. But the next morning, my bedroom mirror had long vertical scratches carved down the center, and something had been chewing on the corner of my blanket. I tried ignoring it. I tried pretending it wasn't real, but it's not going away. I wake up with bruises on my arms. My fridge door is always open in the morning. I keep hearing my voice, my own voice, calling from the other side of the apartment when I know I haven't spoken. Whatever's following me, it came from the tape. And if you've heard of the Rake before, if you know the legends, then you know once it chooses you, it doesn't stop, it doesn't sleep, it doesn't forget. So if you're watching this, you still have time, but you need to follow these rules, memorize them, live by them, because these are the 10 tips I've learned to survive the Rake. And if you ignore even one, you won't survive the week. Tip 1. Do not watch the tapes. I need you to hear this clearly. Don't watch it. Don't even think about watching it. The tape is the doorway. It doesn't matter if you're curious. It doesn't matter if you think it's fake, or if you want to prove you're braver than the last guy. The tape is bait, and the moment you press play, it knows you exist. I didn't believe it either. I told myself it was a joke, one of those creepy lost media projects or internet hoaxes. But here's what they don't tell you. The Rake doesn't just stalk you, it remembers you. It's ancient. It's not bound by the screen. Watching the footage isn't viewing something that already happened. It's summoning something that's still unfolding, frame by frame, movement by movement. And once you've seen it, even for a second, it sees you back. The first time I watched it, I stopped halfway through. I felt wrong, like something was sitting on my chest. My skin started to itch. I rewound it, paused on a blurry frame that looked like a hallway. My hallway. I turned around, and for half a second, I saw something crouched under the table. Pale, thin, breathing. The tape was still in the VCR. That night, the scratching started. It always begins soft, subtle, a faint drag of nails against the drywall. You tell yourself it's the heater or a mouse Or maybe just your imagination, but it gets louder, more deliberate. Soon it starts coming from beneath your bed, inside your closet, behind your mirror. It gets in through small places. And the worst part, you'll want to watch it again. Something in your brain itches, like you need to go back, like something's unfinished. That's part of the trap. The more you watch, the stronger it becomes. Second viewing, that's when it manifests. That's when people start disappearing. The tape is a trigger, not a story. Don't convert it. Don't digitize it. Don't upload it. Don't play it in the background. Don't try to be clever. You watch it, you open the door. It's that simple. It doesn't matter if it's on VHS, DVD, or some corrupted MP4 someone emailed you for fun. Do not watch the tapes. That's your first and most important rule. Break this one, and none of the others will matter. Tip 2. If you've already watched it, never watch it again. If you're here, reading this, listening, watching, whatever format this reaches you in, and you've already broken the first rule, then I need you to do one thing. Do not go back to it. Not out of curiosity, not to double check what you saw, not to show a friend, not for proof, because once you've watched the tape once, you've invited it in. But watching it again? That's giving it the keys. The second viewing isn't just a mistake. It's a contract, a silent agreement that says, I'm willing to be seen again. And when you do that, the rake stops hiding. It begins showing itself more clearly. You'll start catching it in mirrors, windows, reflections on your phone screen. You'll freeze frame a section of the video and see something new that wasn't there before. A face in the static, your name etched into the walls. I once saw a shot of my own hallway, something crouched just out of focus in the corner. And when I paused it, it turned toward the screen. That night, I saw movement under my bathroom door, not a shadow, a hand. The second viewing does something to your mind. You'll hear sounds when it's silent. You'll feel breath on your neck in rooms with no draft. You'll wake up standing in places you don't remember walking to. You might think it's giving you answers, a way to understand it. It's not. It's feeding off you. You are rewriting yourself every time you press play. And piece by piece, it gets in, through the gaps in your memories, the places you don't look too closely, the parts of you that are tired and desperate and hollowed out from fear. A second viewing is not research. It's consent. And if you give it that, then from that point forward, your eyes are no longer yours. So if you've watched it once, fine, you might still have a chance. But if you feel the urge to watch it again, fight it. Burn the tape, lock it in a box, throw it in a river. But don't ever, ever press play again. Because the second time, it watches all the way through. Tip 3. Cover all mirrors after dark. Mirrors are not your friend. I know that sounds cliche, like something from a campfire story or a chain email from the early 2000s, but I'm not being poetic. I'm being literal. If you've watched the tape, cover every mirror in your home before the sun goes down. Every single one. Because mirrors aren't just reflections anymore. They're entry points. After I watched the tape the first time, I noticed something wrong with my bathroom mirror. It wasn't broken or anything. It just started lagging, like a video buffer. I'd move, and my reflection would take a heartbeat too long to follow. I chalked it up to stress, sleep deprivation, maybe even a trick of the light. But it got worse. A few nights later, I caught my reflection smiling. Not me, the image. I was standing still, expressionless, and the face in the mirror was grinning like it knew something I didn't. Then it stopped mimicking me altogether. Now when I pass by a mirror at night, I avert my eyes. I don't look, because the last time I did, I saw it, the rake, behind me. Not in the room, not in reality, just standing in the mirror, tall and thin, its limbs twitching like it didn't know how to hold still. Its eyes were empty, but I knew it could see me. And when I stepped away, the mirror didn't change. It stayed the same, like a paused screen waiting for input, like it had become a window. Mirrors are its vantage points, its perches, its one-way glass. And once you've opened the door with the tape, mirrors become cracks in the walls of reality, cracks it can crawl through. So cover them. Every night, use blankets, use trash bags, smash them if you have to, but be warned, it doesn't like that. I broke a mirror in my hallway 3 days ago. That night, I woke up with glass in my mouth. Don't ask me how, just trust me when I say, once you've seen the rake, the less you reflect, the better, because it watches, and worse than that, sometimes, it smiles back. Tip 4. Do not sleep where the tape was watched. The place where you watch the tape becomes infected. It soaks into the walls, into the wiring, into the air, like radiation, like mold. And the longer you stay, the faster it spreads. So if you've watched it in your bedroom, your living room, your basement, it doesn't matter. You need to leave that space immediately. Sleep anywhere else. Outside, in your car, on someone's floor. Because that room isn't just cursed anymore. It's claimed. I didn't believe that at first. I thought if I burned sage, or played music, or kept the lights on, I'd be safe. I was wrong. The third night after I watched the tape, I invited a friend to crash on my couch, Eli. He thought I was losing it, thought it'd be fun to have a sleepover, maybe catch whatever weird VHS bug had bitten me. He watched a movie on his phone. He fell asleep on the same couch where I'd seen the tape. I haven't seen him since. No signs of a break-in, no screams, no blood. Just his phone, on the floor, screen cracked, camera still rolling. When I opened the video, it showed him asleep. Then, at exactly 3:09 a.m., the footage glitched. The audio warped, the shadows moved, and something long and thin crawled into the frame, just for a second. Pale limbs, spider-like fingers, a mouth too wide for its skull. Then nothing, just empty cushions, like he'd never existed. That room feels different now, colder, still, like something's waiting. I boarded the door shut, haven't gone in since. I still hear movement inside sometimes, a whisper, a wet breath. Sometimes it says my name. Do not sleep where the tape was watched. It's not your room anymore. It is his. Tip 5. If you hear breathing, but no one's there, hold your breath. It started 3 days after Eli disappeared. I'd be walking through my apartment and suddenly freeze, like my ears had picked up on something my brain hadn't caught yet. A sound just below hearing. Faint, wet, breathing. Not wind, not the pipes. Breathing. It wasn't constant. It came in bursts, always behind me or beneath me or inside a closet that hadn't been opened in weeks. At first I'd call out, flip lights on, check every drawer, every vent. Nothing. Then one night, I heard it right next to my ear. I wasn't alone, but I didn't run. I didn't scream. Something in me, something primal, told me, don't move, don't react, don't breathe. So I didn't, and the sound moved on, slowly, cautiously, like it was feeling its way through the dark, waiting for a signal, a sound, a response. The rake doesn't hunt by sight. It listens. It waits for the inhale, the gasp, the sob. That tiny flutter of sound that says, I'm alive, I'm vulnerable. And if it hears it, it knows exactly where to go. I've tested it. One night I left a small recorder on in my kitchen and shut myself in the bathroom. Hours of silence until 2:17 a.m. The audio picked up something crawling in. A pause. Then the sound of long, slow breathing. Not mine. It stopped by the recorder, hovered, and for 20 full minutes, it just listened. Then I heard my voice from the tape, whispering, "Are you awake?" I never said that. So now, when I hear it, when I feel that pressure in the air, like something is just out of view, I hold my breath, no matter what, for as long as I can, because I don't want to hear my own voice again. And I definitely don't want it to hear me back. If you hear breathing, but no one's there, hold your breath, or you'll be the one it listens to next. Tip 6, if you hear scratching from below, don't move. This one's hard to talk about because it doesn't make sense, not in a way that fits cleanly into the world we think we live in. But you need to hear it. You need to understand how close it gets. If you hear scratching beneath the floor, inside the walls, under your bed, don't move, not an inch. The rake doesn't come crashing through your door. It doesn't roar or screech or try to scare you. It tests you. The first time it happened, I was lying on the floor of my friend's spare room. I'd sealed off the bedroom where I watched the tape, told myself I'd be safer somewhere else. I had a blanket, a flashlight, a knife, even though I knew it wouldn't matter. Around 3:20 a.m. I heard it. Scratch. 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 Coming from beneath me. Not the basement, not the crawl space, directly under the floorboards. My first instinct was to get up, run, but my legs wouldn't move. My whole body locked up like it was suddenly underwater. And then I heard something worse. Breathing. Slow, shallow, wet breathing. rising from the floor like the house itself was exhaling. Then it stopped, and I realized it wasn't waiting for me to run. It was listening again, like in the mirrors, like with the tape. It wanted me to move. I stayed perfectly still for 6 hours, every muscle screaming, my teeth chattering so hard I thought they'd crack. I passed out just after sunrise, and when I woke up, the floor was cold, but the scratches were gone. There were long, bloody drag marks on the ceiling above me. Not scratches, fingertips, like something had been crawling upside down, just on the other side of the wood, feeling for where I was. And here's the worst part. If I had moved even an inch, I think I would have felt its hand close around my ankle. So now I sleep in short bursts. I leave salt lines around the mattress. I sleep with noise-canceling headphones and alarms set every 45 minutes, because the scratching always starts around 3 a.m., and it's always closer than the night before. If you hear it from below, don't move, don't cough, don't shift, don't even breathe if you can help it, because once it finds where you are, it doesn't have to scratch anymore. Tip 7. Never watch the footage alone. This one might sound strange, especially if you've already broken the first rule. But even if you're tempted to go back, to analyze, to pause, to figure out what you missed, don't ever watch the footage alone. The Rake is drawn to isolation. It thrives in silence, in spaces where no one else is watching, where there's no one to distract it from you. When you're alone with the tape, you become the only voice in the room, and it listens to that voice like it's a prayer. The second time I made that mistake, I was trying to prove I wasn't crazy. I waited until 2 a.m., sat alone in the dark with the VCR hooked up to an old tube TV. I pressed play. I thought I'd review the moment, the exact frame where Eli disappeared. Maybe I could find a glitch, a cut, something I missed. And I did find something, a single frame, less than a second. A shot of my hallway, my actual hallway, taken from the ceiling corner, like a security camera, angled directly at my bedroom door. I don't have any cameras in my apartment. There were no timestamps, no playback markers, just that one frozen moment. And in the frame, I was there, standing in the hall, but I don't remember getting up. I don't remember walking away from the TV. I blinked, and the shot was gone, and so was a full hour of time. I checked my phone, 17 missed calls, a voicemail from my neighbor asking if I was okay. She said she saw me standing outside her window, just staring in. I live 2 floors above her, so now I never watch alone, not ever. Even if no one believes me, I make them stay. Even if they hate me afterward, even if they disappear, I won't be the only one in the room. Because when you're alone, the tape doesn't just play. It records. Footage starts to change. Scenes reappear from different angles. The Rake shows up closer. Sometimes you catch a glimpse of something behind the camera. Sometimes you see yourself watching yourself. And then you start to wonder which version of you hit play and which one never stopped. Never watch the footage alone, because it's not just watching, it's remembering. Tip 8. Burn the tape, but not near your home. By now, if you've broken the first rule, you're probably thinking the same thing I did. I'll just get rid of it. Burn it, smash it, bury it, destroy the damn tape, and maybe this nightmare ends. But it's not that simple, because the tape isn't just a recording, it's a vessel, a physical tether, and if you destroy it wrong, it doesn't sever the connection, it spreads it. I learned this the hard way. After Eli vanished, after the footage started to change on its own, I couldn't take it anymore. I took the tape out back, doused it in lighter fluid, and set it on fire in a trash bin behind my building. The flames didn't behave right. They rose slowly, like something was resisting, biting back. I swear I heard it, screaming in the static crackle of the fire. A high-pitched whine like warped magnetic tape being shredded. And when it finally went dark, I thought I was free. I was wrong. That night, 2 tenants in my building went missing. One of them was a kid, 7 years old. His mother said she woke up to find his bed empty, the window open, and long scratches across the walls. The other, my upstairs neighbor. He was found 2 days later, wedged inside the crawl space of his own ceiling, eyes wide open, mouth filled with ash and strips of melted plastic. They hadn't watched the tape, but I burned it too close. It was like setting a house fire to kill a spider. The flame caught, and the wrong things burned with it. So here's the rule. If you're going to destroy the tape, and eventually you'll have to, do it far away, isolated, no electronics nearby, no witnesses, not in your home, not in anyone's home, not near schools, hospitals, or graveyards. Someplace empty, hollow. I drove 3 hours into the woods and buried a second copy in the ruins of an old radio tower, poured gas, burned it to slag. I didn't hear the scream that time, but something watched me the whole drive back, and now every time I use a lighter, I swear I smell melted skin. Burn the tape, but don't let it burn where you live, because if you do, the rake won't just haunt your house, it'll start looking for more. Tip 9, if you start hearing your own voice, it's too late. The first time I heard it, I thought I was talking to myself. You know that thing people do when they mutter out loud without realizing it? I figured I was tired, on edge. Maybe I'd said something under my breath and just didn't notice. But then it happened again. In the hallway, I was brushing my teeth. The water was running, and from the other side of the apartment, I heard my voice ask, "Are you still watching?" Same tone, same rhythm, but not quite right. Like someone doing a perfect impression after hearing me speak 1,000 times. The hair on my arms stood up. I didn't answer. The next night, it said something worse. "I don't like being seen, but you watched me, so I watched you back." I dropped my phone. I backed into the corner of my room and waited, knife in hand, for hours. No footsteps, no sound, just the echo of my own voice whispering from the vents, the corners, the reflection of my turned-off TV. It's not just stalking anymore. It's learning. It's mimicking. And now it's speaking with my voice. Sometimes I'll answer a call and hear myself breathing on the other end. Sometimes I'll open my texts and find messages I never typed. One said simply, "You're not you anymore." I didn't tell anyone because I'm starting to wonder if that's true. Some mornings I wake up standing in front of the mirror. Sometimes I catch my reflection blinking slightly out of sync. Once I heard my voice in the kitchen, laughing. I was alone. At least I think I was. If you start hearing your own voice, it means it's getting closer. It's not outside anymore. It's inside. Inside the walls, inside your devices, inside your head. And if it starts saying things you're thinking before you say them, if it starts finishing your sentences, that's not an echo. That's the sound of something practicing. Tip 10. If you see yourself in the tape, it's already too late. This is the last one. If you've made it this far, you're already marked. Maybe you've followed every tip. Maybe you haven't. Maybe you're still clinging to the hope that you can fight this thing, outsmart it, survive it. But if this happens, this one thing, then I need you to listen to me. There is no coming back. If you ever see yourself in the tape, not on reflection, not in a dream, not in the background of a mirror, but in the actual footage you're watching, it's already over. That means it's not just stalking you anymore. It's become you. It happened to me 2 nights ago. I wasn't watching the tape, not directly. I'd set up a camera to record the TV screen, trying to capture the distortion. I was watching the recording, not the tape itself. It started like it always does. Grainy hallway, flickering lights, something twitching just outside the frame. Then the camera angle shifted. I didn't press anything. It cut to a shot of my apartment, my living room. The same angle my webcam is usually set to, only this time, I was sitting there, in my chair, head tilted, blank expression, just staring at the screen. I reached for the pause button, but before I could, the version of me in the footage looked directly at the camera and smiled. That smile, it didn't belong to me. The footage ended, but something kept playing. The tape kept spinning, even though the screen was black. I could hear something breathing, slow, deliberate. Then I heard myself whisper, "I'm still watching." And now, I don't remember recording this message. I don't remember writing these rules. Half the time I wake up and I'm already talking, reciting lines I've never said before. The lights turn off on their own. My computer starts recording even when I haven't touched it. I think the version of me in the tape came back instead. So this is your last warning. If you ever see yourself in the footage, turn it off, smash the screen, burn the house. It won't save you, but it might slow it down, because once that version of you looks back, you're not you anymore. You're just the next recording. Okay, I think that's all of them. Those are the tips. Those are the rules. You, if you're hearing this, if you're still here, then maybe you've got time. Maybe you're smarter. Maybe you didn't watch it. You didn't watch it, right? Because if you did, if you press play, then it's already in motion. It's already looking at you. Through the camera, through the screen, through the cracks in your goddamn reality. I don't know how long I've been recording. The lights keep flickering. I've unplugged everything, but the camera still works. I hear myself talking even when I stop talking. Sometimes I catch my voice in places it shouldn't be, like in the walls, in the sink, in the static. I keep seeing something in the playback. Frame 138, I think. That's the one. I paused it. There's something crouched just behind me. I didn't see it at first, but now it's all I can see. I think it's smiling. My skin itches. My teeth feel loose. I swear I haven't blinked in hours. I'm afraid if I do, I'll open my eyes and be watching from the other side. Don't you get it? I don't remember recording tip number 7 or number 9 or maybe that wasn't me. Maybe I'm not me anymore. Maybe I'm just what's left. So here's what you need to do. Delete this video. Forget everything you heard. Burn your screen. Burn your VCR. Burn yourself if you have to, because it wants to be remembered. It wants to be seen. And if you're hearing my voice right now, that means it's already watching you. Wait, is that